I don't have the crochet hook today. I should probably get it, but now I'm on the couch, so whatever. This is Random Bullshit Podcast, and I didn't post twice last week because I didn't have anything to talk about. I was going through some kind of spiritual awakening, and I've been through many of those in the last, I'd like to say, 5 years. Yeah. And they're always massive and they always come like wildfire, but this time it was just so tame. It was really different. It was like I was sitting down and I decided to go to the temple and pray and talk to the spirits, and they gave me advice, and it was out of nowhere. And it feels like it has been coming for a long time. All the other ones are sudden. They just hit you. And this one was like gradual. It was, oh, I'm seeing it the way it is, you know? And there's this phrase I always say, is that you happiness is not something you find. If you keep looking for happiness, you will be disappointed. It's not a phrase I heard anywhere, it's just something I thought about once when I was really depressed and I was thinking that um, I will never find happiness. And then it hit me like someone whispered in my ears that happiness is not something you find. And what that means is that happiness is not an objective, it is a state. And you can't find states of mind because they're already there. You just need to concentrate on them, you just need to feel them. So, a little bit of backstory. I was in a relationship for 3 years almost. It was it had its ups and downs. It was great. I don't regret anything. And it ended almost 3 years ago. And when we were together, I would always joke that if we ever broke up, I would go to Japan to become a monk, you know. Um, and it was just a joke at first. I am a Buddhist. I study the Soto Zen school. It's from Japan. It's from Tokyo. And when we broke up, the idea was in the back of my head, and it had been for years to that point, just stewing. But I didn't think I was ready. Then the years went by, things happened, people I loved died, people I loved left. I met new people to love. And then you see what I have to deal with every day. Can you hear that shit? All right. And on the course of these last 3 years, I started to retreat. I became a recluse. I became a hermit. And I had some time to think about it, to think about what I really, really want in life. And then that is kind of contradictory to the philosophy I follow, but that's besides the point. And then I started to study again. I had stopped studying Buddhism for some reason. Shit, sorry. Breakfast is coming back up. Sorry. All right. Um, I had stopped studying Buddhism for some reason, and I think that that reason is because I am also a practitioner of witchcraft. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but I am a practitioner of witchcraft. My whole family is basically my mom, my dad. We do kind of work with popular witchcraft, popular magic. Anyway, and I was focusing on that part of my studies, but I never stopped thinking about what it would be like to be a monk and to go full on Buddhist monk, shave my head, and meditate. And that's a thought that scares me a lot. Like being a monk, it really, really scares me because I am very comfortable with where my life is right now. And that's not always a good thing. No, comfort doesn't mean good. It just means you're settled. And I'm kind of not happy of how I have settled things. So I went to the temple. I talked to the spirits. They gave me a lot of advice. I was sit down on the chair talking to the spirit for like an hour. It didn't feel like that. It felt like 10 minutes at best. My dad said I was there for an hour, and I really was. And and she gave me an advice that hit me like a truck. And what I once I went home after that, I was feeling really, really light. It was like this weight had been taken out of my back. And I went home, I went to sleep, and on the other day I had therapy, and I talked to my therapist about my plans. And he said that I should really go to Tokyo. I'm not saying that I'm immediately going to become a monk. I'm not even sure that that's a possibility to me. See, I am a therapist by trade. I am specialized in traditional Chinese medicine and traditional East Asian medicine. More important, more from China and Japan. And I really, really want to go to Japan to study there, study Hari and Kanpo. And and I'm not gonna give details of what happened last week, but I'm just gonna say that um, it feels like I really should work towards going there. You know, it's my goal to go to Japan and study Hari and Kanpo and Buddhism from like the place where my order comes from. You know, and it feels kind of scary. I know, to change like that. I am almost 25 years old, and I feel like I really haven't changed much. Not in my inside, but my life in general hasn't really changed that much from when I was 18. And although that life is very, very comfortable, I am feeling an urge to just go, you know, just go. And that comes back to the point I was trying to make before, that you can't find happiness if you look for it. And that is, I remembered later, that is a very Buddhist thought, because in Buddhism we say that the source of suffering is desire. And when you desire for happiness, you will never get it because the desire itself is making you unhappy. So you have to acknowledge your situation. Like, I know things are looking bad right now. Like if you're on the internet and you're looking at it at face value, things are bad. But then you start thinking about your own life, the things you have, even if it's not much, you know, you have it. And I'm not trying to generalize everything. I know there are people who suffer. This is coming from a very privileged point of view. And I know it because I have a home. My home is standing. I have food on my fridge. I have books to read. I have the internet. I have commodities. I work. I have money. But so many people in the same situation as I am right now feel empty and they feel this sort of despair. And they start thinking, oh, the world is ending anyway, so why should I care? And let's sit down a moment and think about this statement. The world is ending right now. If you look at history, if you look at human history, the last 8,000 years, you will see that in every time, every era, every age, look at the Bronze Age, look at the Iron Age, every time there was great suffering and there was great happiness. And I am not from a first world country. I'm not from England. I'm not from any European country. I'm not from Portugal. I'm from Brazil. And I wasn't really in a I didn't grow up wealthy either. I grew up in the slums. I grew up in the hood. And it was just as bad as you think it was. Like people getting murdered in broad daylight. I couldn't even go outside some days because there was a lot of violence going on. And right now I live in the countryside and it's way more tame than the slums. And it's cheaper too for some reason. But I had a very happy childhood despite all of that. I had a very happy adolescence, even though at the time I wasn't feeling it. But looking back, I was very happy. I had friends, I had girlfriends, I had my family. I was going out, I had fun. I had fun. How many teenagers nowadays can say they have fun? See, a lot of them can. That's what I'm talking about. It's because when you're inside your head, when you're looking at the world from inside your head, you will always be miserable. You have to look at it as it is. It is things that are happening, and there are things you can control, and there are things you can't. And that's the whole thing behind it. The things you can control, you do whatever you can to be satisfied with it. And the things you can't, well, there's nothing much you can do to change it, you know? So, the exercise I want you to do today is Sit down with your thoughts, but don't cling on to them. Don't become them. Just experience them and then let them go. Like life is. Because if you get attached to things that happen, if you get attached to historical facts, if you get attached, if you give your whole personality to something that you saw on Twitter, you will be miserable. You will feel like crap. But if you just analyze it like it is just something that happened, you will see what it really is. And then the moment's gone. And you're gonna feel stupid for caring too much. Think about something that happened when you were a teenager, or not even that. If you're older than me, just think about something that happened a few years or even a few months or a few weeks ago, and you were so sad and so mad about it, and now it doesn't really even matter anymore. Think about it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be sad. Sadness is part of life, happiness is part of life, but what I'm saying is that you shouldn't let it ruin your life. You shouldn't let something that doesn't even matter ruin your day because you can't handle it. You know? Things pass. Life ends. Phones break. And it's all right. There's always a new life. There's always a new thing. And there's always a new phone. And that's it. That's life. If you keep living it, yearning for something, you're not really living your life. You're living someone else's life. You're living your future self life. And your future self doesn't really even exist yet. All you have is now. All you have is yourself now. You don't have the past anymore. It's gone. And you don't have the future because it's not happening yet. It never happened. The future isn't real. I'm not saying you shouldn't plan for stuff. Yes, you should. But you also have to live your life. You also have to experience it as it is. You also have to breathe. You have to see. You have to cry. You have to laugh. And then you move on to the next thing. And say goodbye to what it was. That's the secret of happiness. If you chase it, it will get away from you. This has been Random Bullshit Podcast. Thank you for watching it. And subscribe if you want to see more. Like it. Leave me a comment. And share with your friends. Share this video specifically to somebody who you think might need to know these things I just said. Look, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a big thinker. I'm just a guy with a tiny microphone. But yeah. Thank you. Peace out, homies.